But before justice is realized in full, before justice arrives, God offers salvation and redemption to all peoples through his servant. Look at verse 6. He says about the servant Jesus, I will appoint you. I'll appoint you as my servant, as a covenant for the people and a light for the nations. The servant brings God's covenant of light, God's salvation to the whole world, to all nations, to all peoples, to every tribe, tongue, people, and nation. And we read in verse 7, he came to open blind eyes, to bring out prisoners from the dungeon, and those sitting in darkness from the prison house. It's remarkable, isn't it? Jesus opened the eyes of those who are physically blind. You know, where I live in Louisville, we're right next to a blind school. We have some blind people in our church, praise the Lord, but we haven't been able to open their eyes physically, but Jesus could do that. But he's also come to give sight to those who are spiritually blind, right? To those who've lost their way spiritually, to those who are confused, to those who are wandering in darkness. I remember before I became a Christian, I remember feeling confused about life. What was the purpose of it? And Jesus came to free those who are in prison, we're told. Imprisoned in a kind of darkness. Imprisoned by our own desires. We're slaves to our own desires often, right? If you're not a believer here today, Jesus came to help you really see. You may be able to see physically, but you can't see spiritually. Jesus came to open your eyes, and he came to free you from prison, to liberate you, to redeem you, to ransom you. You may be in a prison of lust and sexual sin. That's a very common prison today. So many are imprisoned in that. Or a prison of eating too much, or drinking too much, or even addicted to drugs, right? Or a prison, this is a prison too, right? A prison of gossip and slandering others. Or maybe we're blind to the self-righteousness in our own lives. Maybe you listen to sermons, and on the way home, you talk about not what you learned and how you grew and how you were challenged or convicted, but you talk about the one thing you disagreed with in the sermon. Jesus came to bring us out of the dark places in our lives. He came to free us from sins that imprison us and enslave us. He didn't come to destroy us, but to forgive us and cleanse us. He came to make us new. He came to make us what we should be by his grace.